I'm back with more dating advice, and this is how to act on dates through commitment time. And my first tip is to not get too heavy with your feelings in the very beginning, and that should come later because typically when you get a little heavier and a little bit deeper with your conversation, those are things that are important to you or have shaped you, and you want him to value those things. So basically when you have him wait and work a little harder to get to know you in that way, then he'll appreciate what you say more. And if you just tell him everything in the beginning, he might get overwhelmed, and you'd much rather him appreciate and like the information and think, wow, she gained so much wisdom. That must have been really hard if you talk about something that formed you as a person, rather than oh, this is a bit much to be hearing all in the beginning. So you want him to feel like he wants to hear it, and you're not just putting it on him. He's working for it and earning it himself. And another thing is you should be sympathetic when he talks about his feelings, just the way you normally would. So let's say his puppy dies, or he, I don't know, had a bad day at work, something like that. Just be loving, be sympathetic, and then you can really give and take and get to know each other. When he's sharing himself with you and his own personal feelings, it's important to be sympathetic and actually react the way you would normally to hearing these things. But so you want to express sympathy if something happens, like his dog dies or he had a bad day at work. Just listen to him and be there for him, but don't try to really dig into his psychology and find out all these things about his past and try way too hard to give him the help that he doesn't need or ask for, because that will be one of those things that pushes him away. So when he wants to share, appreciate it and listen and respond, and that will make him share more with you and he'll actually feel comfortable with you. But don't push him, because that will make him close up and go in the opposite direction. So the next important tip is to never bring up really serious topics about the relationship or the future. And these are things that he should be bringing up. And these topics include marriage, children, commitment if you haven't gone steady in the relationship, kids. Oh, I already mentioned children, but that's an especially big one. And just living together and your future in general. So instead of talking about those things, and the reason why you shouldn't talk about these things is because you want to know that he actually wants to bring them up himself. He's choosing to. He wants to think about a future with you, and it's very different than if you pressure him into it, guilt trip him into it, and just he feels like he has to. One is him trying to get closer to you, and the other one is him just reacting to you pushing him. And you want someone who actually wants to be with you, so that's very important to allow him that freedom to choose when he's ready to bring it up. And another thing is you should act independent. Think about your future in terms of what you're gonna do with your career, what you're gonna do with your friends, what places you want to travel to, and just get excited about all the things you could do on your own and all of the fulfilling I don't know, activities that you don't necessarily need to be in a relationship for, and talk about those. And he wants to see that you're a full person on your own, because people want to marry and want to be with someone long term if they're someone with a full life. So don't act like you need a man to keep yourself whole. And don't even talk about it. Wait for him to bring up those topics and be receptive. If you're not ready to talk about it, you can say that too. But don't bring it up yourself, because that would put too much pressure on him. And even if he wants it, and even if it is his idea, if you bring it up before his time, that would make it hard for him to be able to tell if it's something he actually wants or something he feels pressure into. So that's pretty important, because you want the man to be the leader in the relationship. And women, we want more to feel supported and stable, and men, they want to feel like they have their freedom. So give him that, let him choose when he's ready to bring it up. And in the meantime, just enjoy the moment and be independent and have your own goals and desires outside of the relationship. I wanted to read you guys this next bit of advice from the rules book itself. And just remember that it's important to not try too hard to stimulate conversation you think is going to interest him or make him like you more, because people aren't stupid and they'll be able to tell what you're doing. When it will seem overly interested, it will make him feel like he can slack and be a little bit lazy and less interested. So yeah, just let him lead that conversation, and these are the topics that you should talk about, and then also the topics that you should avoid on these dates. So it says, he must take the lead. Talk about something outside of your relationship, like your favorite sport, TV show, a great movie, the novel you just finished, an interesting article from Sunday's New York Times, or a good museum exhibition you just saw. You get the idea. Don't tell him what your astrologist, nutritionist, personal trainer, shrink, or yoga instructor thinks about your relationship with him, because you want to be someone who thinks for yourself, and you don't want to seem like you're analyzing your relationship or kind of need someone else's help to get you back on track. You want to speak like you're just like full, you're handling things on your own. It's okay to see a therapist or a nutritionist, but don't talk about what they think of your relationship. That's private. Don't tell them what a mess you were before you discovered seminars and gurus, as in, my life was such a mess before the forum, etc. Don't tell him he's the first man to treat you with respect. He will think you're a loser or a tramp. That's kind of harsh, but it's true. You want to seem like someone that just gets respect because there's someone that deserves respect, not because he might think he's doing something wrong. If he's the first one that's giving you respect, he'll be like, oh, is this girl not worthy of respect? Is she broken in some way that I haven't seen yet? Just kind of avoid that topic. Don't give him the third degree about his past relationships. It's none of your business. And this can be hard for everyone. I know that you might feel like insecure or upset, like if he brings up an ex-girlfriend or he sees her or whatever, but the truth is, if he wants to be with you, he's going to be with you, and he's not going to be interested in any other girls, and you don't have to be afraid that he's going to leave you for them. So what you do when like you run into his ex at the mall, or he glances at another girl that's pretty when you're out together, you just ignore it. You act like it's no big deal, and he'll see that you're confident in yourself, you're not really like peeved by whatever else is going on, and he'll bring his attention back to you pretty quickly. If you kind of like zoom in on it and focus on it, he'll see that you're insecure, and that's not attractive. So just don't worry about it, and if you don't give attention to it, like, he won't either. Don't say we've got to talk in a serious tone, or he'll bolt from the bar stool. Don't overwhelm him with your career triumphs, try to let him shine. Don't plague him with your neuroses. So basically, just don't feel insecure, don't give him a really hard time. If you're angry, don't take it out on him. He might be like someone who's really close and like a positive influence on your life. Just really try to be respectful and keep your boundaries as much as possible. And don't act insecure or talk about all these things you need. If you talk like you're in a state of brokenness and you need all these resources to pick you up, like, that's not a way you should look at yourself. That's not a way that he should look at you either. You want to be with someone who sees you as like a whole person, someone who's independent, someone who has their own passions, desires, and is someone who is very special, unique, and like someone that is above all other girls, at least to him. And you don't want to seem like someone broken. You want to seem like someone like extraordinary and special. So, and don't be fake. Don't talk about things that are interesting to him. Talk about things that are genuinely interesting to you, because it's very important that you have two separate people who can bounce ideas off one another and get a different reaction back, and it basically opens like two different perspectives to be dating someone who is completely different, well, not different, but like is their own person. If you agree with him on anything, on everything, he might as well not be in a relationship. So don't do that. Don't try too hard. Just exist, be yourself, and I know it won't feel like much, but basically it's about yin and yang. The less you put in, the more he's gonna put in, and the more you put in, the more he gets lazy and backs off. So to really appreciate you, you want him to be like guiding the relationships and kind of figuring you out. And for that, if you let him figure you out, you're going to be mysterious and sexy, and you'll still be yourself. You'll still have the same preferences, but it's the way you present them that's important. And that's what it's going over here. You might be wondering when you can tell your boyfriend like those bigger, deeper things that you didn't get into in the beginning because you didn't want to be like too touchy-feely. You can tell him those things when he says he loves you and when you say you love him, because by that point he's earned it. He's not going to hurt you, he's not going to run away, he's not going to leave you. It's important to get all of like your secrets or things you think it's important he knows out in the open before you get married, because it's not fair to spring things on people. And if like just say it in a casual way, like an example is if you used to be an alcoholic, just say, I had a problem with alcohol, but I got help and I got better, and that's why I don't drink anymore. And if you tell him a secret like that, he's probably gonna think that you are kind of strong and that you've gained a lot of wisdom from your experience. And he's gonna appreciate it because you waited to tell him. And you didn't tell him in an overbearing way and like feeling bad for yourself. You told him in a matter-of-fact way. Which everyone can appreciate when someone says something like that. So the less you put in, the more he'll respect what you say, and the more the point will get across.